Almighty God, God of salvation, God of miraculous healings, we give you thanks for the many saints who carried out your life and work in the world. And today we give thanks for Father Damien of Hawaii. And we ask that by his example we may be encouraged to go out and do the work you have for us to do in the world. So we pray in your Son's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
So today we're going to Molokai in Hawaii, a pilgrimage. And the reason I chose this as a pilgrimage is because of the fact that many people went to Molokai on an unwanted pilgrimage. People who had leprosy were exiled to Molokai. And in addition, Father Damien went to Molokai to serve those people, and now it is not only a national park, but it's also a pilgrimage site for many, many people around the world. So that's where we're going today. Let's see, I guess it will reach. So we flew on. When I went, we flew on this small plane, the Molokai airline from Oahu over to Molokai. And you can see here, this island is Oahu, and that's probably the one, that's where Pearl Harbor is. It's the one that many people go to when they go to Hawaii. And Molokai is here, right off the coast of Maui. Molokai is less frequently visited because of the fact that there are no big resorts. It's not touristy at all. It's probably the most like old Hawaii of any of the islands today that you can visit. And so I'm very thankful that we got to go there because it was quite different than the rest of Hawaii. Now here is a bigger map of Molokai, and this is what I want you to note, this peninsula that sticks out into the ocean, because that's where Kalaupapa is, the leper colony. And you'll see more pictures of that. So we flew in over the west coast to this airport. You can see we were in a tiny little plane. You could see the cabin with the pilot and the maps and everything. We could watch on the map as we were flying.
We call it an island hopper.
Uh-huh. This is Diamond Head in Oahu. We flew over Diamond Head and along the coast of Oahu. And then as we came over Molokai to enter into the country, the west is very arid. And there's a lot of that is ranch land. There's been some effort to turn it into a resort, which has been really resisted by the whole island. They don't want a resort there. Most of the people there have some native Hawaiian heritage, more than 50%, and you can really see that when you're there. Here are some scenes from the harbor, boats, fishing. That's Maui off the coast over there, and they had these platforms out in the harbor, and people were swimming. They came and they go up these steps and dive into the water. Looked fun. Now we went to the Overlook. Remember that peninsula I showed you? Here it is, and this is the Overlook onto it. You can see why this would be a perfect place to put people you don't want to have anyone else near. There is another view of it. See how it's surrounded by these three sides, the ocean, and one side these high sea cliffs. These are the highest sea cliffs in the world. So when leprosy came to Hawaii in 1885, it appeared, and they had already been through smallpox, typhoid, that had just because the Hawaiians had no immunities to these diseases that were brought in to the islands by all the people who were coming there. So they had already had something like 10,000 people die from typhoid and 5,000 from smallpox. So when leprosy came, King Kamehameha, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, said, okay, if you've got leprosy, you have to go to Molokai. It's an automatic exile. So even small children, if they had any sign of leprosy, they were just taken out of their homes, put on a boat, and sent to Molokai. This happened to anyone with any sign of leprosy. King, what did you say?
Kamehameha.
Kamehameha. Thank you. So he really hoped that this would keep leprosy from spreading. And this actually, they did this until 1969, which is not that long ago.
What causes
Kamehameha.
leprosy, Catherine? Is it a...
It's not highly contagious, but it is slightly, and there are some versions of it that I think some people are more genetically susceptible to it. But I don't know enough to really elaborate on that. But it is contagious, which was the worry here, but only if you are intimately close to it. But still, it was spreading through the
In the
people's...
Bible, we've heard about, leprosy, and it seemed like, I just envision people have big lumps and bumps all over them.
Yeah, it's
warts kind of
horrible.
thing.
Yeah, and in the Bible, it's considered an unclean disease, and the lepers in the Bible are also like
Yeah.
put outside the city, and they can't
Yeah.
be. We
What
have
do they
the-
do in modern times? about that?
Well, it can be cured now by antibiotics.
Yeah,
So if you
right.
come down with it's you just get the proper treatment and you get over it. But there was no treatment for it at this time. Now this is where the boats from the other islands would come here, and literally the people were thrown overboard and they had to swim to shore. And then they were expected to farm and support themselves even though they were sick. So it was very, very cruel. The first patient, I'm not going to read all this, but the first patient arrived in 1866 with 11 other people, and they literally had to grow their own food, build it. There was nothing there. They just dumped them there. It grew into a community, and there were marriages, but anybody who was born there was immediately taken away so they wouldn't be exposed to the leprosy. So if you had a child there, the child would be removed right away. So it was really just a very tragic situation. This is the longest and deadliest medical segregation in U.S. history, and there are cemeteries all over that peninsula where people were buried. Over 8,000 people lived there with leprosy in the time this was, and now, in 1980, this became a National Historic Park. However, there are still people with leprosy who live there. So only 100 visitors are allowed to visit the park a day, and you have to plan way ahead if you want to do this. And the only way to get there is to go by boat, to fly in by plane, or to ride down on muleback down those cliffs or hike. So we chose to ride on the mules. We'll get to that. But right now they've got 40 federal park employees, the health professionals who are still caring for the residents who are there, and there's only one little tiny store that we went to, and the food comes in by plane, and then once a year a big boat comes with other supplies.
Why hasn't it been eradicated by now in that colony?
It has been, but the people who lived there their whole lives, some of them, it's the only life they knew. So
they're just living there because they want to.
when it became a national park, they were given, it was their home. So they're still living there for now. So it's still an active medical site. 6 leprosy patients still live here, and this is in 2017, so it could be less at this point, but they range in age from 73 to 92. So when you visit there, they are very, they're very protective of their residents. They don't want people to take pictures. We didn't see any of their residents. They don't want people to take pictures of them because it's their home. So it'd be like 100 people a day come into your your home. So they're very careful to protect them. So we rode down on mules. This is one of the mules and this is one of the people who, it's a Hawaiian cowboy. That's my daughter on hers. And I rode that polka dotted one, which was called, his name was Stripes.
Right.
Stripes led the procession down the hillside. It's like 900 feet down. Some of it is straight down, and most of it is switchbacks. There are over 100 switchbacks. It's a wild experience. And the person they were going to put on Stripes said, "No, I don't want to ride. I don't want to be the first one. I'm not a good rider." So I said, "Well, I'll ride Stripes." So I was on. He was the best one of all. He was the leader. All I had to do was sit there. And the other guy who didn't want him was on a bucking bronco. Not really bucking, but he had troubles that I never had on Stripes. So there he is.
Polka
dot.